Kenny Hazard Khaos. Welcome to Freetime. You know, Ken, you've been in this company a long time. And I've got to ask you, who is your favorite XCW superstar to watch?
To watch? Well, I actually have two, because one of them's a new guy, because came in. It's Tommy. Another one's Brian. I love going out there and wrestling, especially when he's playing Great Rayford. I love it.
Certainly is a fan favorite, pleasing the crowd, which, to a point, you kind of answered my next question, but what superstar do you most like to work with?
Well, considering the fact I've never really worked with Tommy. You know, I worked tag team matches with him here recently in a fatal four-way, but the person I love working with most, probably Chris Jones.
Alright, now, like I said, XCW has been around for quite a few years now, and you've been with it for quite a long time, but in your opinion, what was the greatest XCW show in history?
Probably all around farewell show, because we had a lot of good time in that one, putting it together. Really thought it was the last one too, but for a while.
Well, I know that emotions certainly ran high at the end when you all came out and you all raised each other's hands. It was pretty big emotion.
Either that or one more, Greed. Greed was that hellacious show. It was one of my first XCW title in deathmatch one with Chris Jones, who I like to work with the most.
Alright, well, speaking of that, how did you get your start in XCW?
Roly-poly-oly, Frodo Benji. I was just sitting at a NEW show one time, and he comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, how would you like to work for Josh Fletcher?" I was like, "Who's Josh Fletcher?" And he's like, "That guy over there." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, you know, give me his number, and here's mine, we'll get in touch," and then it just rolled from there.
Alright, now we often speak about the best shows, best stars and all that, but in your opinion, what was the worst show in XCW history?
State Street. We had headphone speakers as the speakers for the music. You can't hear your music, so I'm announcing, and whenever their music hits, I say their name so they don't come out.
Wow, a lot of technical difficulties that day.
Best part of the show, though, is I smoked in the head with the chair.
Yes, I
Broke it.
Perhaps the biggest chair shot in the history of this company.
I don't know, you had one.
Yeah, not quite that harsh, but...
I don't know, fucking scared me.
Speaking of your first title win in the company, what was the biggest moment in XCW?
The biggest moment in XCW all around?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Probably, for me personally, would be when I was told I was going to win. And just it staying after that farewell show. Something that we all like to do. There's nothing you can really do about it.
Alright. So on top of all that, what was the turning point in your career?
Turning point. Probably when I turned face to go and win the XCW championship. And then coming out, you know, the next show I had a dance party, and Chris Jones, dance! Dance! No one danced.
If the memory serves me correctly, that was interrupted too, I believe.
Yeah, Black Fledge.
Alright, now, granted, this is backyard wrestling. You guys are all professionals. However, accidents do happen inside that ring. With that in mind, what was the worst injury you have ever sustained?
Well, I never really had a real injury in XCW. I've went out there. I had a cyst removed from my chest, and went out there and wrestled SWAT man Benji Kaufman, and one of the shortest matches in XCW history. And I've had bad knees, bad ankles, and it did hurt. People think I was selling that really, really good, but it really did hurt when Fletch picked up Daniel and dropped him onto that chair. It was painful that day, but you gotta go on.
All right, then what was the worst injury you have ever seen in this company?
There's actually two. There's one where Ryan, was in a ladder match, went up to grab the belt and sliced his finger. You could see flesh just hanging there. And then there was Cold Day when Fletch took that light tube and threw it and it gashed Chris's eye open. And I really honestly thought it had hit him in the eye, that show.
Well, Chris Jones, being the veteran he is, did finish the match before he received medical attention.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. You go out there, you finish your match.
Now, in this company, you guys wrestle in the snow, you wrestle in winter, you wrestle in summer, you wrestle in fall. I mean, was there ever a time, with all that harsh climate, was there ever a time when you just wanted to quit?
No. What? No. There was a match where I wish I could have redone, and that was me and Chris Jones' death match. It was freezing outside that day, and it did not go like we wanted it to. But no, weather's never made me want to quit.
All right. Now, this next question, I have 2 parts for you. In your opinion, what was the worst gimmick in the history of this company?
Wow. Probably Captain Crook. That was the dumbest thing in the world. That and SWAT Man, hands down. Just dumbest.
SWAT Man getting no love here in this company. All right, well, it's the worst. What was the best gimmick?
It's funny you ask that because the gimmick I want to say was actually supposed to be a jobber in Grim Reaper. He was actually supposed to go out there and job every match, but fans just started catching on to him, loving him, and now he's one of the biggest names that we have on our card. When you go out there and you see Grim Reaper on your card, you're like, that guy's funny.
Yeah. Fans certainly love him. Now, with Halloween Havoc coming up on us real fast, you have a huge, huge match coming up. Which brings me to my next question. How do you prepare for a match?
Really, I get to the show, you know, I have to do a certain routine. I'll go out there and I'll train, you know, with the new people, you know, get out there and do my stuff that I want to do in my match with that person, if we have time. You know, my match, you know, before my match I'll go get ready, while I'm standing on the side I'll pray. Especially for the horrible matches. There was one time, actually, it was Death Match 2. Me and Fletch were setting up in the clubhouse over on Southwest Street, and we sat there for at least a half hour before anyone even noticed we were gone. And we sat there. You don't know what's going to happen, but, you know, that time you pray, you hope for the best, and it always turns out good.
Well, that brings me to my next question here, which you answered part of it. Do you have any pre-match rituals you go through?
Just praying. I gotta have an energy drink. If I don't have my energy drink, I do not feel focused. Then just praying.
All right. Now, this next question you may want to take on a little personal level here. Of all the people you've worked with in this company, who gave you the worst chop you have ever received?
Wow. No one really ever chops me. I don't know. Probably either Dylan Ballstick or Benji. Dylan literally gets off on chops. And Benji just is just really as stiff as me. He'll go out there, flop on you. And his chops, okay, yeah, Benji, because during that short match with me and him, I was playing double, he was SWAT man, and he was just lighting me up with those chops, and by that fourth one, I was sitting there just cringing, waiting for that next one.
Alright, now of all the superstars we have in this company, who has the best finishing move?
I really, really like the Cyclone. I love, like, Chris Jones because it can come out of nowhere. Rob Slater had one that could come out of nowhere. And in terms of setting it up, the suicide effect, because it's one that you can come out of nowhere because they could jump, catch them, boom. Or you can just go. But I like moves that come out of nowhere with the super kick and the RKO because it's so surprising, you don't expect it.
Alright. Now my next question. We've all seen wrestlers on TV. Me being born in the 70s, I grew up in the 80s watching Hulk Hogan be the legend of it all. But let me ask you, what pro wrestler were you most influenced by?
I hate you. You said Hulk Hogan.
That's just who I only seen growing up. He was the only real name around back then.
I can't stand Hulk Hogan.
You're not going to chop me, are you?
No.
No.
Like, actually, here's something funny about that. I did a quiz the other day on Facebook. Which WWF superstar were you? And I got Hulk Hogan. I was so pissed. You know, it could have given me someone like Bret Hart, you know. He probably was my biggest person I loved growing up because I loved his style. But looking at it now, who I really, really loved watching may have been someone like Mr. Perfect, or, you know, someone that can go out there and just give it to you all. Ric Flair's another one. At his age right now, getting on top of a ladder and getting thrown off of it from the top of it, taking the bump, and he might have went back to the back, but he came back. You know, those three are probably the biggest ones that I love to watch.
Well, we all remember Ric Flair survived a plane crash too, so
Yeah.
certainly no slouch. Alright, let me ask you, since your specialty seems to be the death match, but what is your favorite concept match?
Favorite concept match probably is the death match. Because, you know, I saw it one day and I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. And I brought it to Fletcher's attention. He's like, yeah, you know, let's do one. Let's see how it does. And it stuck. You know, me and Chris went out there, our very first one, busted our asses to make sure we could keep it around. Then me and him went out there, busted our asses, and it's a hellacious match. I'll tell you the worst thing you ever will hear in your life is when, after you go through a fluorescent light bulb table, their side doesn't break. It's 4 fluorescent light bulb tubes taped together. And they kick you, Fletch kicks me. And he looks at me and goes, I hope this breaks. And swings it. And last thing I remember is, I hope this breaks. And I just closed my eyes because hopefully it broke. And it broke. That is probably the worst thing you'll ever hear. I hope this breaks.
So, with that in the frame of mind, what was the hardest weapon shot you have ever received?
The hardest weapon shot? Well, for me, I honestly love pain. I go out there, and during my death matches, I hit my head before I hit somebody with something. And then there was, the hardest thing I've ever got hit with was probably either those fluorescent light bulb tubes because they were all taped together and those things were a bitch. Or probably a chair. Some people really put behind force with that chair.
I'm familiar with that.
They can get pretty vicious.
Well, you've had a long, lustrous career here. But where do you think your wrestling career in XCW will be 6 months from now?
6 months from now? Where would it be 6 months from now? Probably just going out there and just still doing my thing. I'll go out there, I'll wrestle. I'll give it my best. Hope that person I'm wrestling gives it my best. Or gives it their best. And hopefully we put on one hellacious show for that in that 6 months.
Well, we've seen a lot of the new names come to the company this year, such as Corey Lee, or Corey Lee, if you will, Justin Sane. But in your opinion, who is the biggest rising star?
Wow. Well, I love it because, number one, I trained Justin Sane. And he goes out there and has some kick-ass matches. You know, Corey Lee has really surprised me. Probably the biggest name, though, that's made the rising star, probably Tony. Yeah, he might not be technically new, but he is the rising star. This is his first full-blown year of wrestling with us.
So fairly new in the active roster then.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you were Kenny Hazard Khaos. So let me ask you in that frame of mind, who has the best nickname in this company?
There's one that, you know... Okay, let me ask you this, James Keene. Are you talking about nicknames that we've given them in the wrestling scene, or just nicknames, period?
I'll leave it up to you. I mean, if you want to give me one in the company, that's fine. If you want to give just a nickname in general life, I mean, I understand all your...
There's one. Okay. I'll give you both. The one I like the most as a thing is there's the man. That right there, it gets you straight to the point of he's going to be the best. That's just something that sticks out into your mind. But on a personal standpoint, he's going to hate me for this for a minute, is probably Felch.
Felch?
When, back in the day, there was a guy named Curtis Matty that wrestled with us.
Azrael the Demon Knight.
Yes, Azrael the Demon Knight. And he came up to us and goes, "That's a Felch." And we were like, "What?" He goes, "A Felch is when you're screwing this girl in the butt and you come in it and you suck it out with a straw." And I lost it, and that name, I haven't said nothing to him about it, but that is just one that I always think of, because I always see Fledge, you know, and I just always, I don't know.
Wow.
But, yeah, the Felch, but the man is the best wrestling nickname.
All right. Now, Kenny, we are just a couple months away from the XCW award show. Now, who do you think should be in the XCW Hall of Fame?
Well, obviously I got mine last year. Very proud of that. That's something that, you know, you don't get.
It's certainly a big achievement for you.
You know, in there right now, you know, you got Fletch, Chris Jones, me. I think the one that needs to be in there is just because he's been in the business for a while, he knows what he's doing, he's been champion, would probably be Sin. Brian Allgarth. He's a great wrestler, and when you go out there and wrestle him, you don't have to worry about anything when you go out there. He's just easy to work with.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. What entrance theme that you came out to just most hyped you up, got the adrenaline pumping, ready for you to charge out there and give it your best match?
One Step Closer. Linkin Park. To this day, every time I hear that song, I just want to run out through that curtain because I was a face during that time. And I'm one of those people, you know, there's people out there that love being a heel. They love being a face. I don't care. If I'm a heel, I'll go out there and play my heel. If I'm a face, I'll go out there and I'll play my face. But I love going out there and being for the fans.
Alright.
It's just something that gets you going when you're going out there, and you have all those people who get yelling for you, and one step closer, definitely.
So we see a lot of good guys and bad guys in this company, and like you were just saying, you played both. Let me ask you, what would you rather be, a heel or a face?
Well, like I said, it's great being a face. And at the same time, it's great going out there and flipping off the fans saying, screw you, buddy, I make more money than you do. When you go out there, and me playing a heel, I get to go out there, I'm a multi-billionaire maple syrup guy, I make maple syrup, from Canada. People, number one, hate Canadians. Look at Bret Hart. He's hated in the United States. Me, I go out there, people hate me because, number one, I'm a heel, I'm from Canada, and I make more money than they do.
Alright. Well, speaking of you liking to be a heel, when you first started in XCW, were you ever camera shy?
A little bit. I never, I had my own company, but we never really had a camera. We had cameras here and there, to record. But I wasn't to say I was completely camera shy.
Alright. Now, I understand that you were on your way to making quite a name for yourself in high school football before your bad ankles took you out of the game. So let me ask you, what wrestling experience did you have before XCW?
Before, oh, wow. Well, there was SBW, SBW. Show Hill Backyard Wrestling. It was me, it was Benji, Chris Jones, where he first made it. That's where he was originally Joker, and then I ripped off the mask, and that's where he became Chris Jones. I created a monster on that one. See, then there was HCW, where, it was me and Justin Parsley going out there, having a good time. Got banned from Loper School for a year, had a trespass warrant. If I went on there, I was going to get arrested. Because Steven Reigns, brought a miniature sledgehammer to the show that I got hit with, and then got left there, and then the cops got called, and I was the oldest. And then there was NAW, which was the sister company with XCW, which I ran, and it had people like Sick Nick Cheney, Ryan Wet Dream Riggs, there was Stingray, and well, at that time he was Blade, Cody Russell, Tsunami, which wrestled off camera one time, with a kick-ass match, by the way. And then, I had some mat wrestling in high school. It was a long world. Then, there was NEW where, I'm sitting there talking to Benji, saying, hey, come join XCW. I go to Martin Estates. We had a show. I did it there, and from there on out, I'll come do my match, leave. Now it's, I come 5 hours before a show, it seems, get set up, train, stay 5 hours after the show, watch it, and that's it.
Alright. Now I understand that you were one of the main trainers in this company. At the top. Let me ask you, who are you trained by?
Who was I trained by? The television. I went there, watched, I learned their little thing. I go out there, I show my, SBW, what's going on. I get into XCW, with Fletch, we start working, doing all that stuff, Then we go into NEW, where we all got professionally. We were all showing, then that's when it just started getting better. The show started going better. People started getting hurt, not as hurt. We just knew how to do stuff, but, I never really got trained. It was just me watching TV, watching how they did stuff, and just copying them.
Alright. Now, you've been around for quite a while. What was the best trio in XCW history?
The best trio, that's a weird one. Because, you have the VK2 of Sin, Fletch, DTC. You've got New Power Generation, which is Dylan Bostic, Chris Jones, and all of them, and their little things. Then, there was Blackout Inc., who had Hazard, Stingray, Little Pimp. Then there was Ryan Riggs that got thrown in there every so often, when Little Pimp was gone. Then there was the Canadian Army, which just recently broke up, which was me, Sin, DTC. Then, right now there was that thing of, Shelbyville Heat, which had Fletch, Chris Jones, Justin, Psychor. And there was one more that I loved to do. This was the funnest thing I've ever done. Was going out there doing the dancing trio. It was me, Chris Jones, and Benji. Going out there, and we did the whole Blue Meanie, thing that we did. But the best trio I loved was probably VK2, because they had a lot of good things going on there with New Power Generation.
Alright. Now, this next question is on the personal level here. Now, granted, sometimes tempers flare, sometimes matches don't go the way they plan, sometimes accidents happen in the ring, someone may accidentally go stiff. Let me ask you, who from XCW did you or do you personally not like?
Wow. Well, there's somebody that he wasn't around really long. It's probably Curtis Matty. He was... Okay, picture this. Okay, if you knew Dylan Bostic back in the day with his ego, Curtis Matty had a 10 times bigger ego because he thought he was so pretty. And he constantly dogged on, all of us because he knew the people in NEW. He was going to go somewhere, and he always tried to fuck us over. There was times where he would sit there and, let's get XCW big. Let's go make us something. And he'd run, back when we were worried about NEW, when we were all trying to go pro, he'd run and go tell Tom and Troy and Kevin, who then, in return, would come and bitch us out.
Apparently somebody's cat got loose here in the studio.
But, yeah, probably Curtis Matty. He was the worst wrestler. He looked like a miniature fucking Spike Dudley with his little chili bowl that he had first time he wrestled. It was not, yeah.
Alright. So what was the greatest storyline in XCW history?
Well, man. Wow, that's one of those ones where it makes you rattle your brain.
A lot of the superstars have trouble trying to pick just one on this.
Well, one of my personal favorites, and it's weird because me and the guy I was wrestling at the time really hated each other. We really did. Me and Fletch playing Devil Nightmare, I had at the time had just got with his ex-girlfriend, which wasn't the best thing because she wasn't the best person in the world. We really hated each other, and we were having this feud back and forth with Devil Nightmare. He had taken my chain from me, which is Devil's main power. He had taken that from me, and, at that point, Grim Reaper was in one of the promos, which I loved. I walked backstage, and he goes, he had his Scooby-Doo voice like, ruh-roh, he goes, it's your birthday, happy birthday. And he holds my hand and starts singing happy birthday to me, and we go up in where Chris Jones was living at the time. We go inside the house, and he has this little bitty necklace chain like one of these sitting on a chair. He goes, happy birthday, happy birthday. And I go down there and I grab it, I wrap it around my hand, and I smoke him with it, and he takes the bump and he's laying there, and I walk out, and Nightmare walks up, as the chain walks out. And then it just kept building and building, and one show I'm out there wrestling, and this answers your question, the worst shot ever. I just now thought of it. I was out there, and I sit up, and Nightmare comes out, and he has a chain wrapped around his hand. That big chain I have, and he runs out there, jumps over, and clocks me right in the head. I mean, it was a full force hit in the head, I lay back now. We're at the time really mad at each other, Then we have our Boiler Room Brawl match, which is one of the best matches I think we ever did. Funniest part in that match, though, I have to tell you this story just because it's funny. We were sitting there, and there was this box. He picks up this box, and he goes to hit me with it, and there's this pipe above us. And he hits the pipe first, then he comes down and hits me. Or vice versa, whatever. And, there's that, and then we're in there, and there's this little bathroom off to the side. And we're going over there, and he slams my head into washer and dryer, and he goes in the bathroom, comes out, and he's got this Axe spray bottle. And he's sitting there, and he's trying to spray it in my face, and he won't spray it. He goes, I have to react. So, I'm doing that, and I go out, then the feud, just goes, I get my chain back and that. Me and Nightmare still had some other little things where we had a casket match at Summer Mania, which Devil was afraid of, when we had that. That probably was my favorite feud because we also had the dark powers where we could grab each other and throw each other with not even touching each other. That was probably one of my favorite feuds. But there's a long time for XCW. That could change in no time. It's my two favorite people to watch the wrestle just happened. Chris Jones and Tommy the Man Merriman. And they are awesome together, and I can't wait to watch their feud unfold.
So, in your opinion, that was the greatest storyline in XCW feud? Yeah. Nice. So, now you talked about all these locations you did with other companies. Now, XCW has performed on many various locations, as you said, the Jones, Cheney Avenue, State Street. What was XCW's best location it ever performed in?
Well, there's actually really two spots. There's our current location, which everything just flows, but probably the best of all time, Southwest Street. No doubt we had Greed there, which was probably the best show we ever did. Never got on camera except the death match. But that show was just perfect. We had, Summer Mania 3 there. With me and Fletch in death match 2. This new place we're at, everything just goes so smoothly and, everything just gets done.
Alright. Now, what kind of, maybe this is a little personal level to you, but I gotta ask, what kind of legacy do you think you will leave behind?
Hopefully I'll leave behind a big one, people to hopefully look up to. I went out there, there was a point in time where I really thought I was done when I became the owner of XCW because I just couldn't handle going out there anymore. My knees and my ankles are just so horribly shot. But, like I said before, you out there and you suck it up and you wrestle. There's people out there that are going out there hurt every show, but they go out there and put on one hellacious match. We can go out there and you could be in the worst pain in the world. You could wake up with a Worst thing to ever do is wake up with a stiff neck and have to go out there and wrestle. Because you can't turn. You're wrestling like this. You know, and then you know you have to turn because someone punches you, so you have to go, you know. You have to go out there and you have to wrestle. And I hope, you know, people say, well, yeah, you know, he may have retired, but he came back. He wrestled. He won 7 world titles. What more can you say? Like 5 internationals, 2 hardcore, 5 tag team, Hall of Famer. Never won Superstar of the Year, but I'm gunning for it. It's Chris Jones up there.
Alright.
No 2 P's. 3 P's.
So what kind of legacy do you think XCW will leave behind?
Well, for one, it's the longest reigning backyard wrestling company. It's something that no one has really ever tried to compete with. You know, you go out there, BYWE tried. Look what we got now. We had Benji coming over. You know, he had in talks, you know, with like Ryan Shipley, who at the time was wrestling. You know, he had talks with him about possibly coming over. You know, there was me, you know, but you know, I was talking with Fletch. You know, I had all my wrestlers, you know, on both shows, you know, doing it. You know, there was a storyline back in the day where Psycho Circus Clown was going to come to an NAW show, but that never got to happen. But XCW will leave behind something. There will be some people we'll talk about one day, and they'll be like, hey, I remember that. I went to one of those shows.
So what kind of impact did XCW make on your life?
Just the things I've done. The scars I have all over my body now. Then there's like, you know, the people I've met, like, you know, I'd go to the show, do my match, leave. Now, you know, it was so many things. Like, there was one of the winter breaks that we had where we did nothing but stay the night over at Fletch's house over in the trailer court, and me and Josh made Lazy Boys out of snow mountains and was sitting there watching through Fago's window, you know, TV. We were sitting there walking, and Daniel and Kyle and all of them are sitting there, and they have these rock snowballs, throws them at windows, and then, you know, rocks hitting the window and everything, and they take off running, and me and him still walking. We were acting like someone came out and was like, hey, obviously it's the ones running. Because, you know, if we did it, we'd be running too. But, you know, friendships and all kinds of shit, it's different.
So I have to ask you, what was the best thing that came out of the company for yourself personally?
Probably the friendships that I have made. You know, you know, I met my girlfriend, you know, because I met Fletch, you know, you know, and so, you know, friendships build off of stuff. You build off your friendships, you meet other new people, and those new people come watch you, they like it, they wrestle, you know, you get a kick out of going out there training somebody, you know, and then somebody's going like, man, he's really good. Yeah, I trained him.
Certainly XCW, large group of friends on and off camera. So what was your proudest XCW achievement?
Hall of Fame. I was making jokes the whole time during the whole voting process. If I don't get voted into the Hall of Fame, I'm quitting. I'm quitting. And then, you know, I'm sitting there hosting with you. You know, they call whoever it is up to do it, you know, and boom, look what happens. I go in.
Yeah, when I tallied the votes, you did win by a landslide. Now, you were Kenny Hazard Khaos. Where did you come up with your wrestling name and gimmick?
This is weird. Because it's weird that you say that because genocide, homicide, hazard all became just one big thing. There was hazardous youth, Kenny Khaos. Genocidal youth, something something. Homicidal youth, something something. Genocide broke everything off and was genocide. Homicide broke everything off, became just homicide. I broke everything off and just became hazard. I wrestled in company as Hazard for a while. I retired, come back as Kenny Khaos. You know, I run the company, you know, nothing happens, you know, we're done. Come back and I want to wrestle, I come out as Kenny Hazard Khaos. My gimmick was because I found out early in my time of wrestling that I liked pain. It's something I'm proud of, that I can actually stand pain to go out there and do flaming tables, barbed wire, tacks, all that being hit with. You know, so I based my character off of, you know, likes of like Cactus Jack, going out there, you know, getting up and laughing after I get hit with something that normal people would scream about because it hurts. You know, Cactus Jack had the thing, you know, of loving the pain, smiling after he got hit with a freaking Barbie or getting thrown onto a freaking landmine or whatever, you know? It's something that you do. I base my character off him, and then, you know, as I'm sitting there watching, you know, JBL comes onto the scene, where the clothesline from hell comes in. My gimmick now is revolved around what he had as a millionaire. So, you know, I'm a millionaire, pain loving son of a bitch. Who's rich.
Now, we've seen a lot of accidents in this company. Chris Jones getting his face cut. Fletch received a chair shot so bad that it cost him a stroke in his face. In this company, bad things do happen. So this next question may hit you on a personal level. What do you have to say to people who say wrestling is fake?
I tell them, let me hit you in the head with a fucking chair and see how you fake it. Let me body slam you on solid ground and see how you can fake it. Let me see how real it is, boy. Yeah, we may go out there and stage what we're doing, but getting thrown off a ladder through a table is not fake. Getting hit in the head with a chair when the chair piece comes flying off because you got hit so hard and your teeth chatter is not fake.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm James Thunderfist Keen with Kenny Hazard Khaos here at the Freetime interview. See him live at Halloween Havoc. Thank you. Good night.